Welcome into the Cam and Strick Podcast, episode number 56. You working out?
Great intro.
Are you working out?
Yeah, I am working out, man.
What do you know about working out?
I know a lot about it, Andy, and I can tell that you don't know anything about it by looking at you. But, well, Andy had to work out for a fucking living. And
First off, I have a trainer.
Dude.
Her name is Jess, and she absolutely
She doesn't even know you exist, you idiot.
She loves me. She
doesn't even know you fucking exist. She's a
stares
Peloton
right at
broad.
me, dude.
She doesn't even know
stares right at
you.
me.
She's staring at your wife.
She loves
She's
me.
staring at your wife. She doesn't even know who you are. She's probably making fun of you because you're not keeping up.
What's in your little gym that you have?
I don't. You don't listen. I need to go to a gym. I need to do this. I need a trainer. No, you don't. No, you don't. You need to be fucking disciplined. You need to get up and you could do a million things in a 5x5 space. You could do push-ups, sit-ups, all kinds of different shit. All you need really is maybe a dumbbell. Maybe I use a 45-pound plate and wrestle it around and do lunges and this, that, and the other.
Wrestle it around?
You wrestle. You sit on
like
your ass.
rolling
Listen to
around
me,
with it?
motherfucker. Listen. Yes. Listen to me. God damn. You sit on your ass and you fucking you put it in your pocket. You press. You put it in your pocket. You press. Blah, 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 blah. That's what you do.
Really?
You use a 10-pound plate to start, and then maybe you could work up to
45-pound plate.
45 pound.
Remember one time, you probably don't remember this, I was in the gym, and my
Bird watching?
No, it was the summer, and a lot of NHL guys would be in there working out at power play, and I picked up a really heavy weight, and my back gave out, and I couldn't even walk, and Cam grabbed me. He's like, "Come here, dude, you gotta lay down."
I don't know anything about that.
I thought I was paralyzed. I thought I couldn't move. I was in the worst pain of my life, and you're throwing me down on the ground, and you're like, roll it out.
Andy didn't even work out when he went in there. You went in there and watched us work out and just chirped us all the time. Like, what the fuck's going on? Oh, man.
A lot of chirping. But I would work out.
Yeah, I'm getting into it again. I took a lot of time off because you get when you fucking play your whole life and you work out 3, 4, 5 times a day. You spend all the last thing I wanted to do was fucking work out. But now I'm like 230. We're on video shit all the time. I don't know. I got to get back into it, man. I started last week, really, and I'm going to be straight up jacked before you know it.
Do you want to get jacked again?
Well, I already am, basically. I need to slim up and stay big, I got to slim up a little bit.
What's your diet like?
Ay.
What are you eating?
It depends. I'm not a health nut.
Can I just tell you this?
Yeah, what?
Because I hear that's like 90%.
It is.
Is diet.
100. It is.
100%
is 90%.
What should you be eating?
Good fucking. What do I look like? A fucking nutritionist to you? I don't know. I don't know. Fucking wheat toast, eggs, protein shakes.
What do you eat?
I all kinds of shit. Kate, I cook a lot. I cook a lot of barbecue. I love with this whole quarantine shit.
But you don't eat it.
That's true. I cook it all day and I give it away for some fucking reason.
Gives it
to my neighbors. After they go in my dumpster when I have a dumpster and I clean out shit and they go through it. I wake up in the morning and they're like 5 of my neighbors
climbing around.
5 of my neighbors in my dumpster in my driveway taking my shit.
That's weird. What are they taking?
I don't know.
What are you putting in there?
Fuck. Whatever. Nothing good. I threw it away.
Here's my second place Silver Sticks medal.
They took that for sure. They got to get some money off of eBay. But anyway, no, I don't eat great, but I'm starting to a little bit now. But, it's the beer, man. I could drink 45 a day.
No, you couldn't.
Okay.
45.
I mean, if I wanted to, you absolutely could. Okay, fine, I exaggerate. 35. 35 a day. I honestly could. I guess I crave the sugar in it, and I slowed down on that. Mm-hmm. And when you're not, when you're bored, I just start working out again. You could do a million different things.
Chris Pronger has stepped away from the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
And he's going into the family business. And I'm hearing a lot of people talk about this. And I don't know why it's such a big deal to a lot of people that he would leave the Florida Panthers. There's a lot of people on national radio, whatever, media, whatever, who are breaking this down and analyzing this. Well, how could he do that during a pandemic? Leave the Florida Panthers.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't he?
If I was Prongs, I wouldn't do shit. I'd be like, oh, my wife wants to start a company. Okay, go ahead. I'm just going to kick my fucking feet up.
Shit, I'll go with you.
And I'll help you once in a while. What do you need me to do?
Where are we going?
Tweet something out?
Luxury travel?
I feel like with all these guys. Like, what? You had the money. why even fuck with it? Like, again, like, why have even any of that pressure? You've had pressure on you your whole life.
But it's not like he was the president. He wasn't the GM.
But what are you doing then? Are you working your way up to something? I mean, like, what do you...
But here's the deal. And everyone's like, wow, he could leave. He's going to be a GM. Why aren't teams knocking on his door to hire him as a GM then?
He's a brilliant guy.
Nobody's hiring him right now. No one's asking him to come be a GM. So he doesn't necessarily have a huge say with the Florida Panthers. He's scouting all the time. He's traveling back and forth.
Who the fuck?
And doesn't really have much of a say as to how they run the organization, just based on where he is on the food chart in the organization. I don't know why so many people are having difficulty understanding this.
Why would he want to travel? Why would he want? Not to mention, you're not even flying private
to go do that. He wants to travel to go down to random countries.
Yeah, and kick your fucking feet off.
Absolutely.
That's what you do. That's what he's doing now. Why? Yeah. Again, you're set for life. You made a ton of money. He's very frugal. We all know that. Why the fuck would you even want to do anything? In my opinion, especially a stressful job. I'm like, God, I'm gonna watch my kids grow up. Although I don't have any. I'm going to watch my cats grow up, I guess. But I want to kick my feet up and just relax and enjoy my money instead of being stressed the fuck out to make more money. Mm-hmm. For what? The kids? The kids aren't going to have enough. Let them earn their own money anyway.
So all I'm saying is anybody who's having confusion trying to figure this out, why don't you put pressure on teams to hire this guy then?
Yeah, I know. You know? Again, he's a brilliant mind.
He's super intelligent. Dude.
Super intelligent.
He is probably the smartest player. I really believe that he and David Backes, the two smartest players I know.
I'm not up there?
Well, do you read the CBA? You told me back when you were playing, coming out of a lockout, you didn't even you didn't even pay attention to what the CBA was.
What, the 04 lockout? I was 20 years old. I'm like...
What about 12, 13?
Yeah, that one sucked more than anything. Did I know the ins and outs of everything? I don't know. I don't know.
But you guys came back and played.
Yeah, that was god awful for me. Told you I was training with fucking Chesterfield Rink, and they were so broke that they just held the goddamn Zamboni doors open in the middle of December and January, and we'd have to go out there 3 times a week and ski. It was so fucking cold. We had no training camp. I got sent down right away. It just fucking sucked, man.
Yeah.
Got hurt.
Yeah.
It's just...
And that rink is no longer here for people who are wondering. But anyway, Lee Prongs, I think he's making a great decision, great family decision, and he should be able to do whatever the hell he wants. And if there's people out there who think that, he's going to be a GM, then tell these teams to start throwing out some offers and give him full autonomy too.
Yeah,
okay?
I get it.
And then maybe he would come back and work in the NHL. Maybe. I don't want to speak for him.
Whatever. Kick your feet up and fucking chill, dude.
That's right.
Who cares?
I need a luxury travel agent. Well-Inspired Travels. I told him to give him a shout-out, by the way.
Yeah,
Well-Inspired Travels. That's what we need, dude.
Well, we need these guys to get to their fucking hub city so they can get quarantined. We need these guys to get the fuck to your hub city so this thing could actually work out. You're almost there. Get these guys over there. Shut them fucking down like goddamn Biodome. Keep an eye on all of them and fucking let them play this goddamn thing out so we could be entertained with all these games thrown right at us.
What do you think of the NHL not revealing who has COVID-19, who doesn't? They're handling all the injuries. They're handling everything. They're taking everything out of the hands of the individual teams. And I think the terminology, it puts the coaches in a terrible situation, very awkward situation. To say that they're unfit to play. That's what they say. He's unfit to play.
He's got COVID.
Why can't we say that?
And he actually could probably still play at 100%.
Yeah, he's got COVID. He's actually fit to play, but they don't want him to play because he may spread the virus.
He might spread the fucking to everybody. It's just imagine being that guy. No one wants to be around you. You're just like a fucking
But for a professional sports, it just sounds a little. I don't know.
Everything's a little. I don't know right now, Andy. I mean, every single thing is a little, I don't know. Whatever the fuck that means, that's where we're at right now with hockey. Again, they need to get to their hub city, man, and just lock their asses down. Do what the NBA did. Stock the pond so they go fishing. The one cat
is that what they did?
Caught a fish and he didn't even know how to put it back in the water. Kind of like me.
JJ Redick, he's shotgunning beers.
Yeah, they seem like they're having a good time. I thought
I'm sure they are. Where would you rather be?
What?
The NHL hub hotel or the NBA hub hotel? If you had a choice, where are you going right now? Who do you want to hang out with?
I'm going to the NBA. Those guys are probably partying. I think there was a little meme.
LeBron's like, let me kick in about $5 or $6 million to upgrade this
some
place.
of those cats are bringing some.
Probably built a nightclub inside there.
And they're bringing some dime pieces in. They're going to sneak some dime pieces in. All these dimes are going to be quarantined with all those cats, man. I'm going down there and peeking. I want to watch that whole thing.
We just hired a new trainer. Okay.
She's 24. She's 5'11", and she's been modeling her whole life.
Well, where'd you find her? Instagram.
She got 1 million followers.
That's right.
For her training.
That's right.
For her training.
Wow, who's that? That girl that just walked by? She's our new assistant coach.
Yeah, our new assistant coach. Oh, she's our massage therapist. Oh, oh my God.
Here's our new our PR director.
I'm fucking tweeting some out. Any dime piece that wants to come hang with the boys, and we'll give you a title. You'll be good to go.
That's right.
Damn right, man. I don't care about watching the NBA games. I'm just gonna watch them party.
She cleans our rooms.
She cleans our. Oh
she works here.
The poor girls. If that's not the case, the poor girls at the desks are just going to get harassed.
Oh my God!
These hub cities are going to be like the most sexually frustrating events these guys have ever gone. Yeah. They're not even going to be able to see female.
Yeah.
And then once they do, they're going to be like fucking hounds, man.
These little ladies that work in the hotel.
I know.
They're going to have babies that are like 6'11".
The poor girls at the front desk are like, oh, hi. And everybody's just staring at them like, what are you doing? oh, fuck. My God. Oh, man, that's going to be hilarious.
All right, Kerry Fraser, he's our guest on this edition
Speaking
of the Cam and Strick podcast. You know he loves that hair, man. He loves the hair.
He was great, though, dude. He's so down to earth. He's fucking cool.
He
was
great stories, too. Do you remember him being on the ice?
Yes, I told you
okay, so when you're a player, did you ever look to see who the linesmen were?
Absolutely.
Okay. As a fighter, though, you want to know who the lines are?
Not really.
No? Okay. And the referees, though? Would you look to see who was officiating that night?
100%.
And who would you like to see officiate?
I didn't like Bill McCreary.
Why?
Mustache.
Would he talk shit to you?
He would be a dick to me, man. And I kissed their fucking asses. All of them. Anytime he told me to stop, I'd be like, I got you. I'd say one more little thing. I'd stop every time. I'd say sorry if I got a penalty to him.
You say sorry?
Sorry. Hey, sorry about that. But Bill McCreary just kind of treat me like shit. And he's like, fuck you. It just never, I don't know, never like, hey, Cameron, hey, you got to just go easy on that. Or anything. Like Kerry Fraser did that. Peelsy, all the rest are like, hey, I'm going to give you a warning on that.
Yeah.
Bill McCreary's just a fucking dick.
But he's a legend, though, too. He was always considered one of the top officials.
Oh, every time I'd see him, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, God damn it.
And he didn't like you either, huh?
I don't know. I'd always get a penalty, or I'd get a stupid fucking tripping call. I'd never get tripping calls, and all of a sudden I get a tripping call, and I'm like, fuck. Like,
you watch some of these old school, NHL videos, whatever, and the referees that like chirp players. Like, I don't even know your name. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be a dick.
That's tough.
Yeah, but if you're a young kid, and it's one of my biggest pet peeves. Young kids that chirp older veterans when they're not tough, by the way. I had to do it because guys were running around, so I had to. I didn't even like doing it when I was young because I didn't feel like I earned it yet. I hate that, and I hate when young fucking guys bark at the refs. Or kids. Shut the fuck up.
You got to earn your stripes.
Earn it, man.
Kind of like young broadcasters who come in right away and just crushing guys.
I don't know about that. I'm a young broadcaster. I'm fucking chirping guys.
Or who have initials.
Yeah, I don't like that. When you're young, you're chirping older guys, and you're acting fucking tough. Shut your stupid mouth and earn it. Another thing, shut up with the refs, too. You're fucking all of us over. And you look like a dick.
Really?
Yes, I don't like that.
You feel that strong about it?
I don't like it. When you're young and you're beaking the ref, you don't have any say. You don't even know what is and what's not yet. Okay. Play the fucking game. God bless it.
Just play the game.
Play the fucking game.
You ever
go to the box and shut up?
You ever get yelled at by a opposing coach?
Oh, God, yeah.
Like who?
John Tortorella. That's why I want him on.
I've tried to get Torts on. And Torts will come on. He says he will.
Would yell at me, and I'm like, motherfucker, this is my second shift. Chirp Covey. He's already got fucking 2 goals.
What's he yelling at you for, though?
You're fucking, I'm like, who's yelling at me?
What's he saying?
I'm like, oh, it's the coach. I'm like, you know who I am? I'm like, jeez. I'm like, I guess I'll take that. You're fucking terrible. What are you going to do? I'm like,
oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, whoa. Somebody's getting an elbow. Somebody's going to get elbowed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Kerry Fraser's opinionated, though. Like, I love the fact he'll break down plays, and if he thinks that the call was officiated wrong, he will call out the referee. He's got no problem doing that.
Shit. He probably made really good money.
Well, look at all these NFL refs that are like getting these television deals. Like, they're broadcasters on network television. Really? Oh, yeah. Like Monday Night Football, they bring in like a rules guy.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you're watching football like on Fox or whatever, there's a play that's being reviewed, they bring in a former official who breaks it down.
That's kind of cool.
While the review is going on. I mean, there's an opportunity right now for referees after their career to still stay in the game.
Well, he's fucking shaking hands and kissing babies everywhere he goes. He doesn't need to do shit. I mean, if he gets an offer, like he's got beautiful hair, like he looks good.
He's got insurance on that hair, probably.
Oh, well, yeah, no shit. Wouldn't that be nice if you have your hair's that good? You have insurance on it? Like fuck. That waved bye-bye to me a long time ago.
He was cool, man. All right, so it's good to have Kerry Fraser on. People will love this, man. And you know what? We try to bring a little variety. Our first referee to ever come on the Cam and Strick Podcast here on episode
56,
number 56. All right, as always, brought to you by CarShield and CarShield.com. Write this number down. 800-857-2481, especially how hot it is outside.
Ugh.
Like if shit goes down and you're stranded on the side of the road in the heat, like be sure you're protected. Make sure you have the right protection. It's so easy. And it costs almost nothing. It's so cheap.
It's so cheap, so easy. Again, I always tell the story where my starter didn't work, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, fuck, what CarShield, duh. It took 2 seconds. They found, I picked out exactly where I want the truck to go, place right up the road. They did everything for me. Mm-hmm. Everything. Even there was a couple things that happened with the starter. They didn't get another one. I didn't even have to fucking deal with it. Right. CarShield dealt with everything. The easiest thing in the world.
Well, and again, they don't have like a one deal fits all type situation. They will customize it to fit whatever needs that you need.
Yeah.
Okay? And it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. And just make sure you are protected. It's incredibly simple. And they have plans that can save you thousands of dollars, like I mentioned, for a covered repair, including computers, engines, air conditioning, which you need right now. Lots more. Man. Again, 800-857-2481. Save 10%. Mention the promo code CAM.
Yeah.
And you can save yourself 10%. Check out carshield.com. A deductible may apply. How about gadgetbuyback.com or friends over at Gadget Lab? These dudes, man. I mean, you talk about just booming and just skyrocketing. I mean, everyone's like, whoa, dude, tell me about this place, Gadget.
Oh, yeah.
Buyback.com. What are they all about?
Dude, David Long's a straight-up entrepreneur.
Gangster, dude.
Dude, he does it. He treats his staff great, too, man. Like, I've done a lot of stuff, hung out with this guy. He's a hockey player. Knows what he knows his staff, and the guy works his ass off, and it's very, very easy to do. If you're a company and you have old-school technology and everybody's bitching because you guys are fucking cheap.
Trade that shit in.
Trade it in. You're hurting your company. You're slowing everything down. Trade that shit in. They'll give you top dollar for it. And they'll also, if you have, again, God, do I have to remind you guys, especially all you young kids, if you have a cracked phone and you're trying to go to the bar and talk to chicks and they see that, they're like, get on with yourself, hillbilly. Fix that shit before you talk to me. Jeez, Lo, it's so Hoosier looking. Get it fixed.
It is.
So Hoosier.
There's an easy way to do it. GadgetBuyback.com. You can also go to GadgetLabMobile.com. If you're in St. Louis, check out their Oakville store. You got a cracked phone, cracked or a cracked tablet, whatever it is, cracked watch. Just take it into the store here locally, and they'll fix it while you wait. That's simple. 877-772-8880. Again, 877-772-8880. 8880. Trade in that old phone or tablet, upgrade, get yourself a new one, and they pay top dollar for your old stuff. Of course, Bellman.com, BEHLMANN.com. Listen, they've got new cars. We tell you about it all the time. The Cadillac, the Buick, the GMC, the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, all in Troy, Missouri, right across the street from one another. Get a new car, but they also have a ton of used car inventory. You don't have to buy a new one, Cam.
No, but I want a new one, dude. I want that SRT. Well, I told you, I want that SRT.
They got used ones.
Jeep Cherokee SRT.
They got
so
used
awesome.
ones of that too.
It's loud. I'd make it kind of loud.
Why do you want a loud car?
Not necessarily loud. I want to sound a little bit mean. When I had my vet, it was like sound like a stock car. I don't need to be that crazy. I don't want to wake my neighbors up when I move. And I'm already going to be the biggest fucking hillbilly in the subdivision. I don't want to amplify it, but I do want it sounding like deep, man, because it's a badass car. It's cool.
You get this wrong every week.
It's an SRT.
You keep saying it wrong. SRT.
It's an SRT.
Is it a Jeep?
It's a Jeep Cherokee.
What does it look like?
It's fucking supercharged. It's got dual exhaust. It's loud. I think it's got 450 horsepower, maybe more than that.
Wow.
I knew I'm going to fuck something up. But it's badass. Check them out, those SRT Jeep Grand Cherokees. You put your hockey bag in there. You look badass. It goes fast. It's roomy. Fuck. Right. That's my jam right there.
You can get a Chrysler, Dodge, a Ram to go along with your Jeep. Or right across the street, get that Cadillac.
Ooh.
That's what I'm eyeing. Okay, they got a lot of new Cadillacs upgraded, dude. Outside of the Escalade, which has always been nice.
Yeah.
They've really, really changed some things with some of their other
you got options.
newer models as well.
You got options.
Same with the Buick, man. The Buick is no longer like a grandfather's car.
Yeah.
I think you'd
Tiger
look good.
Woods hooked
you'd
that up.
look good in a Buick.
I look
by
at
the way.
anything, dude.
Okay, you
anything.
should get yourself
Now that I'm
a
working
Buick.
out.
Okay.
Tiger Woods brought that to the table.
All right, or a GMC, which is always classy.
Damn right.
In the GMC. All right, this is episode 56 with our boy Kerry Fraser, man, one of the most well-known officials, one of the best officials the NHL has ever seen on the Cam and Strick Podcast. How was your golf today?
I sucked. I didn't have my clubs. Our club closes on Monday, so I had to borrow a set of my son-in-law's clubs, and he's a good player, so he plays with kind of blade clubs. I need the forgiving kind of modern technology, but we had a good time.
Kerry, that's my excuse. You can't steal my excuse. You got to have a better excuse than that. Come on now.
He doesn't know if he's a righty or lefty.
Well, yeah, right down the middle of the road. I mean, then you're always right.
That's true.
So I should have made calls like that. You know, if I sat on the fence and didn't have to make a decision, I mean, you could blame me.
It must have been pretty tough. Where are you at exactly, though? Are you where you staying at right now?
We're driving on the New Jersey Turnpike back to South New Jersey from Ridgewood Country Club, where they had the Barclay tournament, PGA tournament. It is phenomenal, just awesome. We had a great time.
Yeah, I think I've driven past there before, and you have a driver. I love that about you, Kerry Fraser. That's when you know you're a big dog, right? You have your own personal driver.
Oh, boy.
So tell us about your personal driver. Like, does this guy drive you everywhere, or is he just your golf driver?
Well, no, he's on call, my personal driver, and he has a little hat on and gloves, and I'm in a big SUV, so I can have a beverage, an adult beverage if I wish. And he gets me home, at the appropriate time to put the old man to bed.
See, that's how you set it up right there. That's how you do it. I mean, seriously, that's just how you do it. You go golf, hang out with the boys, somebody drives you back, the wife's happy. It's just the best case scenario.
But didn't you? How many kids do you have, Kerry? Though, how many kids did you end up raising? Like, what's the age difference between your oldest to youngest?
Well, with the oldest is 44 and the youngest is 29, and we have seven children. We have 12 grandchildren. Actually, we have 3 of them in St. Louis. Our daughter Jamie married a fine young man down in St. Louis. She's a lawyer, and they have 3 children, little boys. I'll be coming down there the end of July for Roman's baptismal. And I'm going to hang around for 4 or 5 days and play golf with some of my buddies down there.
Well, I'm going to have to catch up with you on that one.
How about that?
Who is it? What's that guy's name? He's from St. Louis? What's his name?
His name is Ryan Carr, Carr, and they have a family business in the automotive industry, parts and things. Great kid. And Jamie is very accomplished. She's the brainiac of the Fraser family. I'm sure you saw the movie Legally Blonde.
Oh yeah.
Jamie is Elle, and brilliant girl, but common sense not so much. But she's so intelligent. She wrote a brief that was accepted into the Supreme Court of the United States, and she was entered into the bar of the Supreme Court. So that's the kind of talent this kid has.
Holy cow. Well, that's Andy's favorite movie, by the way, Legally Blonde. He watches it all damn time. It's really, really cute. Really cute. And so it's funny, you have a 44-year-old. I mean, you look like you're 44 years old. Like, what is your secret, though, Kerry? Come on now. And, look, I'm going to pump your tires up. I don't give a shit. You look great. Wow. Like, do you work out every day? You golf every day? Like, how do you stay the way you are?
Well, it's got to be genetics. I mean, to have hair really helps. You know, it helps. And I still have the thick head of hair. It's never a bad hair day. But I will tell you that during this pandemic that we've all sort of suffered through, we had to manufacture things to do to try and live as much of a normal life as we could, and to push away the demons that staying in a house or an apartment can kind of cause. So I was out on the bicycle on the road every day that it wasn't raining. And I do, between 15 and 25 miles when I'm on the road bike. Just absolutely love it. So my weight, guys, I have to tell you, is 2 pounds lighter than it was in my final NHL game in 2010.
Wow. Son of a bitch.
Wow.
Yeah, 68 years old, I feel great.
Okay, I got to talk about your hair. You brought it up. I wasn't going to get into it this fast. But first off, how did the hair handle quarantine? Were you able to keep it in good shape?
Head and shoulders.
And how much work... Like, your hair made you a lot of money, Kerry Fraser. Let's be honest with you here, okay?
Had nothing to do with anything else but your hair.
No, your hair made you a lot of money. You're famous because your hair, not to mention you had a long career, obviously, and one of the best NHL officials ever. But how much effort and work did you put into your hair over the course of your career, especially on game day?
Well, funny thing is, I had different hair looks, but... in 1987-8, my wife Kathy said, "Listen, you got to get rid of this beetle look. My hair typically just hangs down straight into my over my forehead. I got cowlicks on the back." And she said, "The beetle look's got to go. Like, let's do a makeover." So we were down in Florida at a resort, and she took me into the salon and pushed the hair back, and we had a little break in the schedule at that point, and my first game back was in Madison Square Garden. It was the New York Rangers hosting the New York Islanders. And I came onto the ice, and as you will recall, the house lights are always down when the players come onto the ice. It's dark, it's spooky. You got the New York crowd, and all of a sudden, the lights went on. And Pat Price, playing defense for the Islanders, did a stop, and he stopped right in front of me, and he did a double take. And he said, "Holy shit, Fraser, I didn't recognize you. What did you do, ride over here in a convertible?"
You look like Justin Bieber before.
Oh, baby, I had the hair all blown back. It was something. And so that was the first evolution of the Kerry hair. But I have to tell you that it was a great distraction, because even though there were times that the 20,000 faithful would chant "Fraser sucks," I was known more for my hair than my bad calls.
Isn't that, though, sometimes... when they all recognize you, even though you might have fucked up here and there, which always happens no matter what, like, doesn't that feel good when when they're all paying attention to you, like, you're working your ass off, you're doing your thing, but still, like, I don't know, that's got to kind of give you a little bit of a boost, right? Even if it's negative.
You know, I never had a bad day on the ice. My office was 200 by 85 feet sheet of ice. Everything that could possibly happen, because I had done so many games and so much experience. It was just like muscle memory. But I will tell you that the reason that I wanted to write a book after I retired was because of that recognition factor. And whenever we would go into the linesman and I would go into an eating, drinking establishment where the fans and players sometimes were after a game, and I would be recognized, I would scope the room out. I'd sit with my back to the wall. I'd make sure that everything was safe. If somebody's coming, I'm going to be ready. But I would see people either whispering to one another, scowling, looking over, and being the kind of outgoing person that I am, I would walk over and I would introduce myself. I'd extend my hand. And I'd say, "Would you have a question for me?" And inevitably, it would be a rather aggressive response. "Yeah, I got a question for you. That time you blah, blah, blah." And I would answer their question very politely. And then I would say, "Do you have another question?" And the next question came a little softer. After 3 or 4 back and forths, they were buying me a beer, and we were having a nice, relaxing relationship building exercise. So, I mean, that's really what I learned is that the individuals that were at the game, the very best seat that they could get was on the first row right behind the glass. And you know what they wanted to do? They wanted on the other side of the glass. They wanted in the game. Yep. So the questions would come to me. When you were talking to Gretzky or Joel Quenneville or whomever, what was it you guys were arguing about or talking about? And so bringing fans to the inside is really cool. I love to share the wonderful career that I had. It was a gift. And to be able to share that is even more special.
You know what they call that, Kerry, by the way? They call that killing them with kindness.
There it is, Andy.
That's what you do. You kill them with kindness. Someone told me that a long time ago. I try to live by that.
No, you don't.
As close as I possibly can. So, listen, I got to know your backstory, though, because, a lot of players say, hey, referees are just guys who can't play the game, so then they have to resort to becoming an official because they're not good enough to be a hockey player. Did you ever play hockey as a kid, and how did you get into reffing? Tell us that backstory.
Well, I did. I was a good little player. I played at junior A level in Ontario. I was the captain of the Sarnia team in the Southern Ontario Junior A League at 19 when I finished my draft year. I played tough. My dad was a goon in the International Hockey League. He played minor pro. He was also a boxer. I played 3 years of AAA midget for him. We won all Ontario championships, had great teams. Some of the St. Louis Blues that played with me along the way. Wayne Merrick, first draft pick of the Blues.
Yeah.
He won 4 cups with the Islanders. Jerry Butler was another teammate. Bob Neely, first draft pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And these guys were pretty big guys. I was 5'7" and 100, probably about £115. And but the old man taught me how to box in our kitchen when I was like 12, 13. And he would tell me to get my hands up. And I was a lefty. I had real quick hands. But he'd slap me down, and I'd get back up, and he'd knock me down again until finally I realized how to defend and block and keep my head up and counter punch. So I was his go-to guy, believe it or not. He would tap me on the shoulder when it was time to go out and take care of business. That, I'll tell you what it did. It created, I have the type A syndrome anyway, personality, but I also had the little man syndrome, and I really detested bullies when I played.
Yep.
So if a little guy beats up the biggest guy on the other team, it totally demoralizes them. But what happened is I carried that through when I became a referee. I mean, I was not drafted. I had a whole bunch of U.S. scholarship offers to play at D1 schools, didn't want that route. And rather than play in the minor pro leagues, I went to a referee school that summer that I was undrafted at 19. I was scouted. It was a 5-day camp. 2 days later, I was at the NHL training camp for referees and linesmen. At the end of the 10-day camp, they put me in the American Hockey League, signed me to a contract, and away I went. I thought, boy, this is pretty easy. Anybody can do this stuff. And as it turned out, I had a longer career than those guys that I played with and against. I tell you, I had a game in my final junior season. It was a Sunday afternoon game in the old Olympia where the Detroit Red Wings played.
Oh, yeah.
And we were playing the Detroit Junior Red Wings, and I hit Mark Howe with an open ice full blast hit as hard as I could go. And it was one of those ones where neither guy falls down, but you just stand there, and everything inside me was shaking and rattling.
Yeah.
And we just looked at each other, and I thought, oh my God. And he was like 3 or 4 years younger than me. He was a big kid. He just played in the Olympics in Sapporo that year. They won the silver, the U.S. And I thought, this guy's going to be a pro. I'm not.
The Cam and Strick Podcast is brought to you by CarShield. Nothing more frustrating, Cam, than when that engine light comes on and right off the bat, you're going to have to spend thousands of dollars to repair your vehicle. Call 800-857-2481. Mention the promo code CAM or visit carshield.com and use the code CAM to save 10%. Yeah. That's carshield.com. A deductible may apply. Save yourself money. Sign up and get your coverage now with carshield.com. Now back to the interview.
Yeah, Andy ran into me the other day when he was going to the bathroom, and that has set his ass back a little bit too. But let me ask you this, though, Kerry. Okay, you know how to make it, you grow up with guys and you're playing hockey. But now you switch over to wanting a different career, and you're reffing. So what's the big key ingredients? Okay, I need to learn how to skate. I need to be aware of my surroundings. But I also need to be able to talk to these fucking guys. I played the game, and if a big boy on a team has a little bit of a fucking hissy fit, I need to be able to calm him down and have him respect me. Take us through that aspect of becoming a great ref.
Well, I learned on the job, and I'll tell you, we all bring a certain inherent character and qualities from our upbringing, from the cradle to the schoolyard, to any sports that we played. Some of us would have to fight and scratch and claw for everything, and then you got the natural talented guys, and whatever it is that we bring is usually triggered when you're under pressure. It just comes out in a reflex. And I had to realize and recognize that I had a problem with the little man syndrome and the chip on the shoulder, because I did not back away from controversy. I would meet it full bore in a challenge. And one of my first games, the home team was getting their ass kicked. The fans were, home team fans were they were frustrated. Every time another goal was scored, they'd litter the ice, and a player would come to me and complain, and I'd bang them with a misconduct. I had them sitting 3 deep towards the end of the third period in the penalty box from the home team. Another goal scored. More stuff on the ice. The coach sent his captain over to talk to me. And very politely, the captain said, "Mr. Referee, my coach wants to know if he can get a penalty for thinking." I said, "Well, if he doesn't think out loud, he'll probably be okay." He said, "In that case, he thinks you're a fucking asshole."
Hey, those witty fucking hockey players, man.
Hey, but listen,
I love it.
Where's the line, though?
Well, I started to laugh,
and
I found the humor in it, and I looked over at the coach, and his stern scowl standing up on the boards was, anger, but then he saw my reaction to it, he grinned, and he started to laugh. I gave him a thumbs up, like that was really cool. But what it taught me was, don't be an asshole. Enjoy the game, enjoy the people, and develop working relationships. And my very first game with Wayne Gretzky in Northlands Coliseum in the NHL was another major lesson for me, because Wayne started to dive on the very first shift. Like within 10, 15 seconds, he got touched. He went up in the air, and he was looking at me before he even hit the ice to see if my arm was going up.
Wow.
And I got stubborn big time. The fans were booing. Every time Wayne was fouled or touched and it went down, I never called a penalty. The Philadelphia Flyers, Bobby Clark, and the Broad Street Bullies were playing in this game, and they were up by 1 goal with a minute and a half left in the third period. And Pelle Lindbergh caught the puck. I stopped the play, and behind the net, Wayne Gretzky, the greatest, jumped in the air, threw his arms out one way, his feet the other way, and did a belly flop on the ice. Bobby Clark skated over to him, no teeth in his head. He said, "Get up, Gretzky, you blank baby." I went over to Wayne. I said, "Wayne, what are you doing?" I said, "There was nobody within 15 feet of you." He said, "You wouldn't have called it anyway. You haven't called a blank thing all night." I said, "You're right. I'm going to start right now." Bang. I gave him the T-bird. "You got 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct."
Oh.
He said, "Thanks. It's about effing time you called something." And he stormed to the dressing room. Now, that was a major lesson for me, because after every game that I did, guys, right to the end, I would reflect on the game and what I did or could have done better. Even if the game was fine, there's always something you can do better. This game, it was obvious. It hit me like a board between the eyes. I needed to be better. I allowed my personality, my makeup, to get drawn into a confrontation emotionally with a player. Not just a player, but the greatest player that the game would ever know. So from that point on, I recognized that my body was like a thermometer, and I had to suppress my natural tendencies when I was in a confrontation. I had to relax my shoulders, take a breath, and I had to listen to the guys on the other side as much as I talked.
Can you make it? Can you survive as a referee without having thick skin? Like, do you have to have it?
I think you do, but I think more importantly, you have to understand your role within the game. Nobody buys a ticket to come and watch us. And I was accused oftentimes of, being a showboat or, the pretty boy or whatever the heck. People make an opinion when they see you. And first impressions can be very lasting. You have to make a controversial call. Sometimes you need to stand up and be counted. You got to make that tough call. It takes courage. It takes guts. But understanding your role within the game is most important, and developing those relationships on a professional level with all elements of the game, the players, the coaches, the general managers, and even the media. I would answer questions. There was nothing that was off limits for me. If I missed a call or made a bad call, which happens, I would admit it, and I'd try to learn from it.
So let me ask you this, and we've heard audio, we see it on TV. It seems now, maybe more than ever, you see a lot of officials become combative with players and become combative with coaches, how they talk, they curse at them, get the fuck out of here, all that type of stuff. You hear it over the television or when you're live at a game. Where's the line? Should a referee be able to talk like that to players and coaches? Like, what should they be allowed to do from that standpoint, Kerry?
Well, they shouldn't be allowed to talk that way. They should suppress those kinds of things. They need to be held accountable. You need to be above the line. You can't expect a player to treat you with respect if you're shouting and cursing back at them in a disrespectful sort of way. I developed an adage as I matured in my profession that to treat disrespect with respect. I would want to take control of a conversation. If a player is emotionally charged and upset, I got to understand it. I have to accept it. But I need to be the guy that brings that temperature down. I need to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. I'll tell you a story about Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet was the young captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. Great player. He could do it all. I mean, he was a power forward. He could fight. He could score.
Oh, yeah.
He was a leader, a young age captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. But he was so emotionally invested, and he would think that he was sticking up for his players, that he would be yelling at the officials all the time, and he was getting a whole bunch of misconducts. Well, one game in the Philadelphia Spectrum, Tocchet was doing what he normally did, which was yell and scream at the referee, and it happened to be me. I put my hands, both hands up and with palms open, like a peace offering. And I said, Rick, I need to talk to you, please, but you're going to have to calm down. He stopped talking. And I told him, listen, you can do it all. You're a great leader. You can score. You can fight. Your players respect you. But I said, you can do none of those things from over in that penalty box where you're just about to go for another 10-minute waste of time. I said, you're getting far too many talking penalties. I said, if you have something to ask me or you have something to say to me, please come to me with respect, ask me a question, and I will give you an answer in respect in return. And I could see Tocchet's light go on. It was like, and I finished it by saying, listen, you can only play against one team on this ice. You can't play against those other jerseys and this striped jersey. You can't win that. So just focus on the other team that you have to play. And the light went on. And from that moment, there was a development of a relationship that I had because I had invited Rick Tocchet to come to me if he had a question. Talk to me. I'll answer you. We may agree to disagree. And that seemed to serve a lot of situations and with coaches. Brian Murray being one when he was coaching the Washington Caps. Brian Murray was out of control most of the time, really emotionally charged. Awesome guy. But from his perspective behind the bench, he couldn't see all that well. He was standing on the bench one time screaming and yelling in the Cap Center. And I decided, bench penalties weren't serving him well. He wasn't getting it. So I decided I'm going to go over and try and have a conversation with this guy. So he was standing up on the dasher boards. He was flapping his arms and spitting and screaming and out of control. And I did the same sort of thing in a monotone voice with open hands. I looked him in the eye and I said, Brian, I'd love to talk to you, but you have to get off the boards and calm down, please. He emotionally came right down to my level, my monotone voice. I said, now, you may not agree with what I have to say, but this is the reason that I did or didn't do whatever it was he thought I should have done. He thought for a minute. He paused. He said, Kerry, you're right about one thing. I don't agree with what you said, but thanks for coming over and talking. Yeah. Again, from that moment, there was a seed planted where we had a relationship, and Brian Murray and I could communicate. All he had to do was give me a wave or a, hey, Kerry, and I would come over and say, real quick, what's up? We'd have a discussion, and away I'd go.
Do you look at Rick Tocchet, and you reffed him when he played, and he was a hardcore son of a bitch, but you had to talk with him, and now he's coaching. Does he treat you with that respect now, having that conversation with you 10, 15 years earlier?
Oh, big time. And I will tell you guys that my contact list is you'd be amazed at the number of guys that I'm close to, that we talk to, or I talk to, that I help with their various foundations. I'm in the golf business right now. My son-in-law has a golf travel company and a VIP sports hospitality company. Does amazing things, all the major sporting events in the world. And we have a number of guys from Marc Messier to the who's who of Claude Lemieux is in our golf organization, our private golf organization. And we're friends. Jeremy Roenick. I mean, some of the guys that you think would be hard to handle. Mess is such a solid guy. He's traveled, with us to various events. We do his fundraisers to help him out as well. And I can honestly say that after 30 years in the business, at the NHL level, and have officiated more games than anybody else in history, these guys, we have an amazing relationship. Chris Knuckles Nyland, I do a radio show with every Tuesday at TSN 690 Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
Nux absolutely hated me when he played. He hated me more than any other referee. We did some charity events together. He was going through a difficult time in his life. I was on the tour. I took him sort of as a fatherly figure, helped him out at a time when he needed some help, and we became best friends after that.
Wow. Cam and Strick Podcast here for our boy Dan Bellman with Bellman.com.
Yeah, baby.
You need some new wheels? Why not get a Cadillac, a Buick, a GMC? Yeah. Head out to Troy today. And again, don't forget about Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram right across the street.
No doubt.
Right there in Troy, Missouri. Visit them online. Check out their new selection, the pre-owned selection, the best service you will find anywhere in the country. Bellman.com. BEHLMANN.com. Get yourself some new wheels in time for the summer.
Yeah.
Now back to the interview. Yeah, Cam's not going to sleep tonight because he for whatever reason he thought you were still officiating.
No, I did not. I knew he stopped in 2010. Shut the fuck up. I'm just saying, like I know. I do this all the time. Andy's he has a photogenic memory, and I don't, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I just know that he learned from you. Now he's coaching, so now he knows how to deal with the rest.
No, that
Shut
was good.
the fuck
that
up,
was
Andy.
Good. All right, so listen, Kerry, here's my question, though. Here's my question. So give me a coach that you absolutely butted heads with. You just mentioned Brian Murray, but when you went into a building, you had to officiate a game that night that you knew, man, this is not going to be enjoyable. This is going to be a situation where I know I'm going to butt heads. This guy just gives it to me every time I'm on the ice with him.
Pat Quinn. Pat Quinn, God rest his soul. Yep. Quinner was, Brian Burke told me he hated all referees, not to take it personally.
Relentless.
But we had some real go-arounds, and he had that booming voice, and he would be yelling out if I let them go a little bit, in the third period. He'd say, Fraser, we playing Hudson Bay rules. Hudson Bay rules is like prison rules, everything goes. And he threw his gum at me one time after in Detroit. Toronto was playing in Detroit. And I gave Matt Sundin a penalty. And they got scored on, tied the game up with about a minute and a half left. Quinner threw his gum at me on the ice after they scored the goal. So I gave him another penalty, a bench penalty. Fortunately for him, they killed it. And then they won in overtime. So he got his revenge on me. But I just... There was a certain line that when people crossed, they had to know that I wasn't a guy that warned people like idly or falsely. I wasn't a guy that would say, you do that one more time, because that one more time, you may not want to have to call a penalty at that point. But I would say to them, and Cam might attest to this, I could be your best friend or I could be your worst nightmare, and all we have to do is try and work together in a game. We need to love the game, play hard, be respectful. I hated cheap shot guys, which is why I typically really enjoyed the tough guys. The tough guys were honorable. The fighters that they would if they want to fight cleanly, and their opponent was either down or vulnerable, they stop. And That's how you develop respect. You know, guys that are going to keep cheap shotting somebody, how can you respect somebody like that? The players don't respect them, even their own teammates, because it might happen to them one day. So it's really important, I think, that there should be, the game is about honor. It's about playing hard. It's about giving the best. And that's where Mark Messier and I really hit it off, because he knew that there were certain things on the ice that players had to settle on their own. Yeah. And there were times when I let him, not as overtly as major breaking of the rules, but if he had to send a message, and he could be a pretty scary guy with those eyes that would pierce people, I felt that there were times, if there was a rat on the other side and Mess needed to send a message, I'd like to see how the other guy responds. Typically, they cowered.
Yeah. No, I get it. And even, I do remember you're always sweet to me, and you didn't have to be. I was a fourth line plug, and I get that. But anytime I was in front of the net and I'm pushing guys around, you're like, Cam, I'd put my hands up like, I got you. But then I look at everybody like, I'll fuck all you up. But I don't touch them because you gave me that warning. Right. But the game's changed, though, a little bit. You reffed in the 80s, though. You reffed with Dave Brown was around. Yeah. Well, he'll hit you when you're down. Like, what was the difference between 80s hockey and moving into, the 2000s? I mean, that must have been so much more difficult to ref because you're in the mix. You with no helmet on, with that beautiful flock of hair you have, you're taking punches. Thank God that you have boxing lessons because you had to fucking bob and weave.
I get a kick out of today when we're watching the game and the announcers will say there's a brawl. It might be two separate fights going on at the same time. We had bench clearings that went for 20, 25 minutes. Yep. And you had to try and find, if somebody was really getting throttled, I would jump on the back of the player that was giving it to the guy that was down, and I'd squeeze them, hug them, and I'd have to talk to them. Okay, we're done, boys. It's over. Like, no more shots. And I would get the agreement. I remember a game in St. Louis with Chicago playing, and man, I'll tell you, the busloads of people that used to come from Chicago, there were better fights in the crowd than there was on the ice.
No, my dad was involved, by the way. He's a Hoosier.
Baby. And I'll tell you, this one night, we had a line brawl going, and Steve Smith, I love Smitty. He won the Cups, 3 of them in Edmonton as an Oiler, got traded for Dave Manson to Chicago, and now he's in Chicago. And big fight takes place. Everybody's going on the ice, and little Bobby Basson of the St. Louis Blues was being scoped out by big Dave Smitty. And I thought, I got to save Basson's life. So I got between them. I grabbed onto Smitty, and I'm looking at him, but I got my hand back on Basson as well. And I'm reading Smitty the riot act. If you touch this little guy, I'm going to throw you out of the game, blah. The next thing I know, I went flying through the air. Bobby Basson two-handed grabbed me on the back of the sweater and pitched me aside, and he speed bagged Smitty like you can't believe, cut him over both eyes, and I'm standing there cheering him on. Like I couldn't believe that this little guy took on the big guy.
Get out of his way. Get out of his way.
But there's been other ones. I thought you were going to bring up the one where Pronger had Carney, Probert and Denny Chassé were going, and then all of a sudden Jeremy Rona comes out of nowhere and just, jumps on Pronger and gets him off of Keith Carney. Was there ever a situation where you were saying to yourself, oh no, this is getting scary, like this is out of control, how am I going to get this thing under control?
Well, you mentioned Prongs. What a great player he was. Amazing physical presence, but his cross checks in front of the net weren't just to move players out of the way. They were designed to hurt people. He could chop people in half with a cross check. And he always thought that if they got one penalty, that the referee wouldn't call a second one until he ran into me. And I would warn him, and I'd yell at him, don't cross check him, and boom, he'd give a guy a two-hand full extension, knock him to the ice, and up would go the arm. Now they're 2 men short. We finally came to a meeting of the minds when I said to him, when I tell you that I will call a penalty, trust me, believe it. Do not cross-check those guys in front of the net or you will get a penalty, because it wasn't just a softie. This guy was powerful.
Oh, yeah, and big, and he didn't care.
No.
He'll all be
not at
NFA.
But
He'll take a suspension.
But I've had players tell me, he said that players have said, hey, if we're killing off a 5-on-3,
you're not going to
you can slash the shit out of guys because they're not going to call another one. I mean, is that creeping into the mind of an official?
Well,
I mean, should the players think that way?
I always wanted to keep them off base. I didn't want to be too predictable, only predictable in the sense that if you commit the crime, you're going to do the time. And I'll give you an example. Todd Bertuzzi, big power forward, right? He was a mean dude, and he was in Vancouver in his best years. Mm-hmm. And Mark Crawford was coaching there. I had them back to back, one night in Calgary and the next night in Edmonton. Now, Bert, whenever he was on a power play, he had a play where the puck would go back to the point. He would shove the defenseman hard out of the way, which typically put him down to his knees, and clear the path for the shot as it was coming. And then he would either deflect it or take the rebound and put it in the net. So they had a power play. And I said to him as he came onto the ice for the PP, Bert, do not cross-check a guy in front of the net to clear him out, or you will get a penalty. Now the line was drawn not in the sand, it was in cement for me. All of a sudden, boom, he shoves a guy down right to his nose, a D-man, as the puck was being shot from the point. Up goes my arm. He looks over, he sees it, he rolls his eyes. Now he thinks he's got a free rein. So he then chopped a guy in the ankles. Now I did a second point. Now he's got 2 on the delay. Then the play stops, and he punched a guy in the face, and now he got 3. He got 6 minutes, and then he shot his mouth off, and he got a misconduct.
Oh!
So he's got 16 minutes in the first period. They scored 3 goals, Calgary did, on the 3 minor penalties. He got benched until the third period. He played 1 shift. Crawford was so pissed off with him. Now, the next night, we're in Edmonton. And remember in the old Northlands, Cam, you had to walk through the back door, and the visiting team would be kicking a soccer ball around.
And you'd fall on your ass with your Hugo Boss shoes on because it's slippery going down that little tunnel.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I was wearing mucklucks. But
so was Cam.
So was I. Who the fuck am I kidding?
Yeah, you big ticket guys, you were wearing like the Hugo Boss.
Huge
ticket. Anyway, so I walk in the back, and I'm rolling my referee bag, and the game stops. And they all look at me, and here's Bert staring at me. And as I get past Bert, I give him a head nod, and I say, Bert, how are you this evening? He never even responded. I get 10 feet past him. All of a sudden, he says, hey, Fraser, are we going for the quad tonight? I said, Bert, that's entirely up to you.
I love
the boys are good, though.
I got to tell you, from that moment on, we had a fantastic relationship. When he went to Detroit, he had his difficulties, obviously. It affected him big. I approached him. I said, hey, man, it's over. Just play. Play within the limitations that are set for you. I got a lot of respect for you, blah, blah, blah. So I would say from that moment on, we came to a meeting of the minds. He knew when something was said to him, at least from this guy, he could count on it.
Yeah, no, at least he said something back to you. Look, all these guys, man, they might play the game for a little bit. You might give them 16 minutes and penalties in the first period, which sat them maybe a game and a half. Doesn't matter. They're still going to respect you one way or the other. If they don't, they get weeded out of this game pretty fucking quick. You know that, Kerry. I do got a question, though. Go ahead.
No, please. I want you to know that everybody in the game, whether you're a fourth liner or you're a first liner, you're entitled to the protection by the playing rules. And it used to, it bothered me in the sense that some guys thought they could do whatever they want because they were stars or say what they want. And then there were other guys that just wanted to earn a living. They had to do what they had to do, and it was a tough way to earn a buck. And I had nothing but respect for those guys that did it every night. They, like you, Cam, you knew what you had to do, you knew what your role was, but you could still play. Back in the 80s, there were guys on the end of the bench that couldn't play a lick. They were there for one purpose only, and that was one tough way to earn a living. I can't imagine, the night before a game, knowing that you had to go up against so-and-so, and, you could get hurt, you could get knocked out.
there's got to be a lot of stress in that.
Well, that's why if you're in Montreal, you go to the Chez Paris and you just, have fun. I mean, come on. There's ways to get around it there, Kerry. Yeah, the fucking pregame nap is going to be a little bit tough, but you get, you find ways. Let me ask you this, though. Who did you look up to growing up as far as referees are concerned? I mean, Andy Van Helleman, remember him back in the day?
I never did.
Nobody.
I never. Who the heck could ever want to be a referee? I had
good question.
No interest in becoming a referee. I wanted to be a player, and when I was playing junior, and I was usually a captain or an assistant captain on all the teams that I played on, and I had respect and showed respect for the officials. One of the officials that I absolutely loved happened to be a guy by the name of Bill Dvorsky. He was a senior ref in the OHA, and his two kids made it to the NHL as officials. Mm-hmm. Greg, big linesman, and then you had Baby Devo, the referee that was just an awesome dude. And Bill Dvorsky had such a way of communicating with the players. I think that as a player, and then became a referee, I probably picked a little bit of what he was about and the things that I liked as a player. And there was another guy that I disliked immensely when I was playing junior A. And as a captain, I went over and I asked him a question very respectfully, and he turned his head away from me and stuck his chin up in the air like, screw you. And I asked him again the question politely, and he did the same thing. He just ignored me. So I was frustrated, and I said, "So I guess you're as fucking deaf as you are blind, eh?" Oh! And he banged me with 10. And, that was a lesson for me, too, in that when I became a referee, you don't need to disrespect a player. You should communicate with them. You need to set certain parameters and bars of what's acceptable. But my God, give a player the emotion of the game, and have a conversation as best you can. There's times when you just can't, you get into an FU contest, and as long as it's between Cam and I, it's going nowhere else. Mm-hmm. I mean, once you walk down that line as a referee, you better not trigger the either an unsportsmanlike or a misconduct, because you became invested in that conversation, and you're as wrong as the player for using the profanity and back at UFU.
Yeah, no, I hear that, man. We appreciate your time. I got a few more questions for you, and then we'll let you go, Kerry, but there's so much stuff we can get into. I'm curious, when you watch the game today, I mean, who stands out? Who's the best official in the game today? And, a lot of these young players who don't make it to the show and they have, short minor league careers are looking for something to do. I know people are trying to encourage them to get into, becoming an official, because they want officials who have played the game, who understand the game, who can anticipate plays. But who stands out, and how do you rate the overall officiating in today's game? Is it good? Is it average? Where do you stand on that?
Well, it really needs some work. And the make a player into a referee project is still underway, and it's a work in progress. As far as the two best referees in the game today, in my opinion, would be Wes McCauley and Kelly Sutherland. Wes McCauley, I used to babysit when his dad, John McCauley, was our boss as the director of officiating. He would bring his two boys, Wes and Blaine, into Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens to a game, and he'd have to go talk to the GM, and he'd say, "Hey, would you look after the boys?" And I'd had Wes McCauley as a kid sitting on my knee telling him stories, and then I got to work with him in the NHL, and he really has an intelligence about him, as does Kelly, from an officiating standpoint. They both played the game. Wes was drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. He played in the IHL. He also played in Europe a little bit. Played with Eric Lindros on his way up at Toronto St. Mike's. But, from that end, just because you played the game, it doesn't mean that you can necessarily have an aptitude to be an official. It has to be a learned perspective. And in terms of positioning, the positioning right now, as I see it, most of the time, especially from these young guys, is horrific. They put themselves in bad position, bad sight lines, and they get caught up in the play. Cam will attest to the fact that you have to be a step ahead of the game. you have to see the game in advance. The greatest players, Gretzky, Lemieux, and on, are the guys that had vision of the ice. They knew not where the play was now, but where it was going to be 2 or 3 chess moves down the board. And for a referee, if they're standing stiff-legged like a stork on the goal line, and they just wait until the play is on them, players attack the puck. Referees have to be able to retreat from the puck before the players get there. And to do that, you have to see the play in advance. It can be learned, it can be taught, but sadly, at this point, I don't see it coming along quick enough.
Wow.
See, he even admitted, I see the fucking play.
No,
right.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's interesting, though. What about this? This is one of the hardest things to teach, guys who aren't even hockey fans. They're sports fans. They start watching NHL hockey, especially in the playoffs. What's your take on eating the whistle? How you officiate in regulation versus the playoffs, versus overtime, especially in the playoffs? Eating the whistle in overtime, is that something that referees should do? Should they call the game in overtime just like they do in regulation? Like
physicality?
Where do you stand on that in terms of how you approached it?
Absolutely. I think that you need to set the line, and players need to know what they can and can't do. If the inmates run the prison, if the warden says, guys, the bars are open, go for it. Whatever you do is up to you. Then you've lost, the official has lost control. At some point in that, he's going to have to call something. And it might be not as good an infraction that he calls as the multiple ones that he's let go. The easy penalty is a guy shooting the puck over the glass. We used to have situations where, and you can check the history books, but I called penalties that in a double overtime in Montreal in the Stanley Cup Finals. Calgary was playing. That would have been about 1989, and it was Mark Hunter. We had no penalties in 2 overtime periods. They just played. It was awesome. They were up and down. They took their hits, and Shane Corson was facing the boards, dished the puck out of his zone, and Mark Hunter was tracking him. And in my mind, I'm saying, don't hit him, Hunt. Don't hit him. Don't. And this is after the puck's gone. And he whacks him in the back, knocks him headfirst into the boards. Now, this is one that I have to call. The arm goes up. And they got scored on just as soon as Mark Hunter stepped out of the penalty box. He never got into the play. And it was Stéphane Richer, as a young player, scored the winning goal, and it was game over. Now, Don Cherry, of course, on Hockey Night in Canada, chastised me from great heights for not letting the players decide the outcome of the game. I hated that line because I'll tell you, if I didn't do my job, I could, in fact, be having some effect on the outcome of the game. So when guys have to step up and make the call they need to, it's going to take guts. It's going to take courage. The players commit the infractions, not the officials. But if you let them go and let them go and let them go, where do you pull the reins in on the horse? And that's the determining factor. And that's why guys get criticized so much. If they call the penalties and there's some element of consistency to the game they call, then it should be expected that a penalty is a penalty.
Andy Strickland and Cam Jansen here for you for GadgetBuyback.com. Gadget Lab, they got a store here locally if you're in St. Louis, 5541 Telegraph Road. Here's the deal. You got an old phone, maybe a cracked tablet. Maybe it's perfect, but it's a little bit older. Turn it in right now. www.gadgetbuyback.com. Upgrade your devices, phones, computers, watches.
Anything.
Doesn't have to be Apple either.
No.
Get those tablets turned in. Again, www.gadgetbuyback.com, 877-772-8880. Now back to the interview.
Yeah.
No, I like your way to put that. The way you put that. I got to have you promote your book before we let you go. But also, you've been out and publicly have said this several times now. The call that you made, or that you didn't make, on Gretzky when he high-sticked Gilmore, 1993 Game 7. Conference final, and Gretzky ended up scoring the game winner. The Kings go to the Stanley Cup Final, as we know, before they lose to Montreal. you've come out and you said, listen, I missed that one. How difficult is that for you to do? And are there any other calls that you'd come out and you say, hey, you know what, I was wrong. And that one, obviously, it involved Toronto. It was Gretzky. So it got a lot of publicity, and people, gave you a hard time after that. But was that difficult for you? Did you have trouble sleeping? Like, when did you know you screwed that one up?
Well, I didn't know until the next day when I got home from L.A., and it was actually Game 6, and it was in overtime, and I had Glenn Anderson sitting in the penalty box for the Leafs. I had called one. He tried to run the defenseman for L.A., his head through the boards in any event. So Kings are on the power play, and this was off a face-off. I flat out didn't see it, missed it, and didn't know until the next day when I got back to my home in South New Jersey, and I called my dad back home in Sarnia, who taped every game of mine. I said, Dad, did you get a look at that replay? He said, yeah. He said, took them about 5 replays, but he said he got him with the stick. He was reaching, and he said, you couldn't see it. It took 5 replays before they finally found it. I said, oh, geez, that really makes me feel bad. He said, well, we had a little excitement here, though. He said, I fell asleep in my big chair, and remember, my old man was really tough. He had forearms like Popeye. He had a big drum on him a little bit at this stage of life, and he's sitting in his chair with his tighty whities on. He said at 3:30 in the morning he heard this ruckus out in his driveway. He looked out the patio door, and there was this car running into the back of his trailer hitch on his little mini motorhome. He'd back up, bang, bang, bang. I said, geez, what'd you do, Dad? He said, well, I grabbed the axe at the back of the door and I chased the car up the street. He said, I got a few good licks in the back quarter panel with the axe. I said, oh, that's not good, Dad. This is not a coincidence. So I called NHL security. Long story short, they tracked the guy down. His car was in a body shop in Kitchener-Waterloo. He acknowledged being a Leafs fan. He drove the 180 kilometers to Sarnia, to Fraser's family home, and wanted to do some damage for the missed call.
Oh, my God.
You got to appreciate the hockey, like the fan base on that.
Man.
Like,
they're
my
crazy.
God.
So tell us about your book before we let you go.
It's called The Final Call. I wrote it in 2010. It continues to sell. It was a bestseller in hardcover and paperback. It's behind-the-scenes stories, funny, a lot of funny things that you just can't believe happened. Cam will, because he was obviously part of that fraternity, but also some controversial things, and how I think it's an education for fans. Women like the book as well. It's called The Final Call, and you can get it on Amazon for sure.
Awesome.
God,
great
you're the man.
stuff, Kerry.
We could sit here for hours with you, by the way. Get out of that hailstorm.
Your driver has the best job today.
No shit.
He gets to hear all your stories.
Love it.
I can't wait for for hockey to resume. I just had 4 Philadelphia Flyers at my golf course yesterday. They're chomping at the bit. They're social distancing. They're staying safe. We have protocol. Anybody that approached them, we had masks on. I made sure of that, and it's my referee buddy Kelly Sutherland. I played golf with him a week and a half ago at Baltimore Country Club. He is fit and fiddle and ready to go. I've talked to Wes McCauley. Same thing with him. They're just waiting for instructions, and no matter how long it goes in the summer, they're looking forward to getting the game back on the ice.
Well, tell those two I said hey, because they were always good to me. They were.
I will for sure.
Right on,
They're great guys.
Yeah.
You're the man, dude.
Kerry,
appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Cam. Thanks.
See you guys.
Manny. See you, bud.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
Take care. That was Kerry Fraser. Did he like you?
Hell yeah. I think. No, he did. He did. I told you. Bill didn't. Kerry did. All the refs did. Look, if you don't like me, then you're just a fucking dick, because I kissed your fucking ass.
I can see you kissing their
Kissing.
ass.
I'm fucking kissing ass.
I'm
man.
sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, dude. Did I elbow him? My B. That's a warning, Cam. Like, all right, thanks, man. Give me that warning. Give me that warning, baby. No, I liked him a lot. He was classy, cool, and again, I'm a simple man.
Told some great
You treat
stories,
me great.
man.
I like
great
it.
stories.
Great stories.
Pat
dude.
Quinn used to come after him all the time, huh?
Oh fuck. We asked him too. Like, what do you suggest?
He loves Wayne Gretzky.
Oh,
well,
yeah?
he wrote
How
the
can you
forward
not?
in his book, and he had a couple Wayne Gretzky stories. He was on the ice. We're obviously,
Dude, you have a relationship with these guys, man.
Yeah.
Like you have to. It's kind of weird, but you have a working relationship with a lot of these guys playing 25, 30 minutes a night, big time situations, big time calls that you have to talk to. That these situations are so big, and you just have this bond with these guys, man. It's fucking awesome.
It was Game 6 between the Kings and the Leafs. I said Game 7. Didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, you fucked that up.
Well, you thought he's still officiating today. I don't know what the hell you were talking about.
What the fuck was that stupid question on my part? God damn it!
Oh, you were so mad. You should have seen the look on Cam's face.
Fucking
he
dumb.
Goes, what's it like? What you ask him? Something about officiating now.
Oh yeah. I go, what?
How the game has changed.
Oh, I go, did Rick Tocchet as a coach treat you any differently? Like,
He's like, I've been out of the game for 10 years.
Motherfucker. I thought that was a good question. I fucked it up.
It would have been. It would have been.
Yeah,
that's okay. You know that happens, man. You're a human. You're a human who wears free clothes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? You got another one on today.
I got free shit. I wear all black.
That was cool. I like getting the referees on.
Yeah, man.
They're not all as interesting as he is, though.
No. He's down to earth.
He knows how to play it.
Yeah, man.
I mean, there's a reason why he gets hired.
He's a rock star in the reffing world.
Yeah.
He
is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, how many referees? Honestly, there's only like one or two maybe in the NFL. And in the NHL, there's only a handful who you could honestly say you know who that is when you see them right away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that.
I'm talking about for the average fan.
I know. I understand that. I do still think that nobody's going to the games to watch referees. Sometimes you have to let them know that, too.
Kerry doesn't know that. You don't tell him that.
I tell Peelsy that. I tell a lot of refs that.
Peelsy doesn't know that.
I tell the refs that through my TV when they keep fucking calling penalty after penalty and slowing the game down. I always have to let them know no one came to watch you.
I love it. I love it though when you're at a game though and during a TV timeout.
I get to lose it.
What is the referee doing during a TV timeout?
What do you mean?
They're just looking around.
Oh, look at me! Look at me! No, hi! The fans are looking right through you.
Oh yeah, no, they it's like whatever. The players are doing their whole water. Players can look around too, man.
Yeah, the refs are like,
but the players are just looking in the crowd, checking their hair through the glass,
checking out chicks. Fuck yeah,
I love it. That's a pretty good gig.
Well, yeah, a lot of travel, man.
They make a lot of money.
It's a lot of travel. You get hit by pucks. You got to be on the ball. You get fucking chirped a lot. You deal with controversy because you have a bad call. It's in I don't know.
Yeah, but here's the deal: you can make $400,000 or $500,000 a year, and you can work till you're like 60.
Yeah, you just got to be able to skate. You got to be able to skate. You got to keep up.
How's the skating with the officials today? I think you should try being an official, by the way. They're trying to get a lot of former players to transition into being a ref. Could you have ever been a ref?
Hell no, I can't skate backwards.
Really?
I mean, I can, Andy. Jesus Christ. Not being a ref. Why the fuck would I do that? I played hockey.
Could you be a ref?
Could you be a ref? I already played. I don't want to do it
I don't think
anymore.
I could be one.
Nah.
I wouldn't like getting yelled at.
Yeah, nah. I just don't want to travel. I don't want to travel.
I know there's a lot of talk about how the referees talk to players and coaches, but they take a lot of abuse, man.
Take a shit ton. No, especially at a young age. We ask them that, especially by these parents. Don't get me started.
No, they do.
Don't get me started on the parents again. Don't get me started.
Well,
we got to go.
You gave your advice.
We got to go. We got to go on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They piss me off, Andy, those parents. You know that.
They do. All right, that was Kerry Fraser. Brought to you by CarShield and CarShield.com. 800-857-2481. Located out of St. Louis, but you can access them anywhere in the world. Affordable protection plans. They'll save you thousands of dollars, like we tell you each and every show. 800-857-2481. Mention the promo code CAM. You'll save 10%. CarShield.com or 800-857-2481. Gadget Lab, GadgetBuyback.com. That's the website. Listen, they'll pay top dollar for your old phones, your tablets, your watches, whatever it is. If you're a company out there, you're an owner, and you supply tablets or phones to all your employees,
figure it out.
Upgrade. And they'll buy them back from you, and they'll pay you top dollar for it. GadgetBuyback.com. GadgetLabMobile.com if you're local. Stop on by their Oakville store. They'll fix it while you wait. 877-772-8880. 877-772-8880. Bellman.com. New cars, used cars, right there in Troy, Missouri. Check out their inventory. Again, Bellman.com. Cadillac, Buick, GMC on one side of the street. Cadillac, Buick, GMC.
I heard you.
What's on the other side?
Jeep, Dodge, Cadillac. Stop putting me on the spot.
Cadillac, Buick, GMC. What's on the other side?
Jeep, Dodge,
Chrysler,
Dodge. GM.
Chrysler.
Why is this funny?
Hey, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said all those.
No, you didn't.
Oh, Lord.
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. But just go to Bellman.com.
Yeah, go to Bellman.com.
Yeah, and they will hook you up. Say hi to our boy Dan, by the way.
Cool cat.
Really cool cat.
awesome in this town. Loves youth hockey. Does great stuff for
been
hockey
involved
community.
in the game forever.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Knows his shit.
Yes.
Cool guy.
In fact, all our people are involved in hockey.
They all are. It's nuts.
You
And again, they make you feel comfortable when you go in there. One other thing about the sponsors, guys, honestly.
Yeah.
They keep us going here.
Yep.
This costs money, it's time, it's everything. You got to support the sponsors, guys. Check them out. Look for yourself. Talk to these guys for yourself. Help them out. Help us out. Keep this fucking train rolling, baby.
So
keep it rolling.
Get your shit set up with CarShield.
Yeah,
buy
man.
a new car.
Do that.
Get your phone fixed. Do it all tomorrow.
It helps us, and I'm telling you, it's going to help you because these guys are the real deal.
They are the real deal.
So appreciate
and
that,
the
guys.
best customer service you'll get. And, of course, Cope24, our girl
girl,
Renee,
what's up, girl?
Cope24.com. All right, for Cam Jansen, I'm Andy Strickland. This has been the Cam and Strick Podcast, episode number 56. Kerry Fraser. Lots more to come your way. Until next time.